He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 27 of 9-1 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, Katie, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Grace.
Hey guys!
And EJ.
Hey everyone.
Today, we will be talking about Lone Star Season 2, Episode 11, titled Slow Burn. A lot happened tonight, I guess.
Yeah.
And I will mention this. I think it's known, but I would like to mention this. But tonight's episode was a very low episode because it was written by John Owen Lowe. It was directed by Chad Lowe, and obviously Rob started it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I like, some people didn't like it, but like I loved it. Like this hardly ever happens where a whole family just has this in an episode. Like this is amazing. Like whether if you like it or not, it is amazing, and they did like such a great job in every aspect of the episode.
Honestly, I don't see why anyone would bother to concern themselves with not liking it. Why should anyone care who it was written by or directed by? Like, it's great. Why do you like it?
Yeah.
Because people hate. It's because people have ulterior motives, where they're like, they just want to hate, but like, you know, maybe you should focus your issues elsewhere. Anyways, let's just start talking about episode 11.
Before we get into anything.
Before we get into these tangents why we hate people.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we got that, because the Lowe family is very talented, and Rob Lowe's not the only one that brought everybody into the acting business. So, in fact, I don't even think he wanted John Owen to act.
No, so. He went to college for like something very like great. Like I feel like it was like, I don't know.
Well, Matthew went to school for law. He's got a law degree.
No, his was like something very science and like something very rare, to the point like it was very like just like they're both very smart and stuff, and that's why.
So this episode starts.
I wasn't expecting this to be at the beginning, but I'm thinking that it actually was a glimpse into next week's.
Yeah.
It makes a little more sense.
Yeah. So when I first watched this part, which we're talking about Gabriel, basically like the little glimpse of him arresting an arsonist and saying how he's a sociopath, and then you see them arrest Owen and stuff. Like you don't really know like who they're talking. I mean, we kind of had a feeling who they were talking about. We kind of knew, but like you don't really know that it's him until like after. But I feel like in my head I was like, okay, this looks like super staged. Like they could have just made it look this way, and I was just like, ugh. Like I hated this part. No.
Yeah, I hate it for a lot of reasons. I mean, for one, again, Gabriel digging himself into conflicts of interest.
You think?
Because his son is dating Owen's son, and I'm like, Gabriel, you've got to stop. And I get it. They brought another cop to the storyline, so let's use him, but...
that doesn't mean they took him out, and they need to take him.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly,
that's just one of the many reasons why I hated that scene.
Towards the end of this episode, like, we see a little good in Gabriel, but also I would be happy if we never saw him again, just because so far he has not really gotten in my good interests.
Yeah,
really.
So, this was not a dream.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. I was totally thinking something like that. Imagine it's a dream.
Oh, yeah. Not a dream. This wasn't...
I wish it was.
Yeah.
Yes, if I'm going to be honest, and this kind of goes with the whole episode, I'm tired of there being drama surrounding Owen.
Yeah.
All negative, because we are getting enough hate from the fans lately. Why does the show need to keep making it worse?
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, there is a lot of hate right now.
There is, and like, if we go into it, I will probably say a lot of things I should not on the recording, so let's not, but I know I started it, but just saying, it's like, I don't know, this is just starting to feel a little bit much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you trying to get the fandom to hate him? Because I don't hate him. I'm a little frustrated with him, maybe.
Yeah, if they dig much more of a hole for Owen, it's going to be really hard for him to dig back out.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like I get, so we were talking last week. I think it's harder for me to speak in such a great light because I just watched the episode. It put me in a bad mood. So like obviously a lot's going on in Owen's life, and I think some of my frustration surrounding him isn't actually him, but circumstances and how other people are treating him.
Yeah.
Other people in the show and also in fandom. So it's like, I don't know. I'll outline my thoughts a little bit more as we go on, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. This was a heavy episode, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So then Owen is at basically he just came out of surgery, is how it seemed like, and whatever.
Yeah, so a week prior to the arrest.
Yeah, so it was a week prior and stuff, and so, like, surgery went well, the tumor was bigger, but they got it all, but the recovery is going to be, like, 3 to 4 weeks instead of it being, like, a week.
Yeah.
Which was kind of, like, in theory, I think it was just funny, because the doctor was like, well, you can just relax, or whatever, and TK's just like, that's not good news for my dad.
Yeah, I know.
For first responders, that's not a good
Yeah, it's not.
Honestly, yeah, me. Like, no, I feel like, yeah, especially for first responders, that's, like, a terrible, like, news to get. And also, I feel like even for me, that's terrible news to get, because I'm just like, what? I need, no.
I like having options.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If the option's taken away from me, then no, I do not want to kick up my
Right.
So,
Well, I loved how Owen was like, so you mean instead of 5 days, it's 6 days? And she's like, no, more like 3 or 4 weeks.
I love his reaction when she left the room, and he's like, 4 weeks? I was dead. I was like, oh my god, this is the way he said it. And TK's just like, well, I'm sure we'll find new ways to keep you busy or something like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, Tarlos got Owen a gift.
Yeah, I loved it.
And he was excited, and then he like was not excited to eat a puzzle, and I'm like, I love puzzles.
Me too.
Like, I would be very happy if somebody got me that if I was recovering from surgery. But I'm just like, okay, I mean, I guess if someone's not a fan of puzzles, I can get it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of felt that because, like, when everyone was doing puzzles, like, when the pandemic started, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I was like, there are plenty of other things I can be doing, so I feel that.
Yes. No, I get that. And I love the video call.
Yes.
Like, that was
Yeah,
adorable.
it was so cool.
Yeah, it was, I loved the whole thing, and, like, I loved how, like, Owen was like, did you water this today? And he's like, no, but I remember to water the dog.
I know, that was hilarious.
I was like, of
That
course.
was so funny.
That was so
water the
Mateo.
And then Owen was like something like, oh, I guess that's good enough or something like that.
Yeah. He was like,
that works.
yeah. And then Jed said, oh, it's just a quiet day. And I was like, fuck.
What?
I was,
God!
and then the
You've been here
alarms
for
go
like
off.
20 years!
And I was
how have
like-
you not learned to not use the keyword?
Yeah. And I was like, Buck is triggered. Imagine Buck in LA just being like, somebody said the Q word.
Imagine.
Oh,
LA
I can just
starting
imagine
with that
TK
name
sending a
is
text
so
to Buck.
He used the Q word. And Eddie being like, what are you talking about? What happened now? Oh my god, not this again. I can literally
Feel
picture
Eddie,
this.
though.
Yes, so can I.
Because like as much as I'm like, yeah, don't jinx yourself, I'm also just like, guys, you no longer have to wear ceremonial like curse breaking gear.
Oh,
Yeah.
And wasn't it Chimney having to like, I don't know, he's like, if we all walk around in a circle or something.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, that's sending
6
all
spells
the,
and bay leaves.
yeah. And
Oh
then, like,
yeah. that makes
everybody's
sense.
like is sending them like the 126, like sending them all that. Well, you could do this to get rid of it, and you could do this to.
And are we like, is it a curse or is it a jinx?
And what's the difference? And what?
And Eddie is just like,
And
Is that like
we
my,
should probably stop
Wednesday
talking
was-
about Jinx and start talking about Sloper.
I was just gonna say, okay, we went a little too far off. This
Yeah.
is not Jinx.
But I will
Anyways.
say that was one of the best episodes
Yes.
before. But
That
I'm
was-
just saying the Q word, I'm glad it was brought over to Lone Star.
Yes.
Yes,
It was it was so subtle. So like, if somebody didn't watch 911, they would not even be phased by it. But we're just like, wait, they said the keyword.
So they get, as soon as he says that, they get a call. The call is a truck is hanging off the side of an overpass, and Judd hops out of the truck as captain. I did like the little banter back and forth between Owen and Judd on the video call of like, how you doing, Cap? Well, I should be asking you that, Cap, or whatever. So it was kind of
that was cute.
And then Tommy meets up with Judd and Captain Ryder. So I thought that was cool. But then we get kind of the storyline. Honestly, this episode, I fast forwarded most of it because like even this whole scene, I'm like, I'm not even gonna like, as soon as I saw what was going on, I'm like, nope, I'm done. I couldn't deal with this. And as soon as that kid like yelled, oh, it's Firefox, I was like, oh great, this is not gonna go well.
I couldn't fast forward, but I usually watch it through once, which I've said before, but yeah, I didn't like this call at all, not because of the stuff that happened later. Like, I just didn't really care for. The only thing I cared about is like Tommy just seeing Judd and being like, oh, Captain Ryder. I think that was probably the only good thing about this scene. Like, the others, because I knew the stuff with Marjan was going to escalate into something where at this moment we didn't know what it was going to escalate to, but I knew it was going to escalate into something. So I was just like, and also the call wasn't really anything like special. Like, I've seen something like this done on shows before, so it was like nothing new for me.
Okay, so I'm a little different than you guys. I did like this call in its own way. Obviously, it was very tragic at the end of it. I didn't like necessarily Marjan was trapped by it, like with the social media thing, because I'm just like, let her do her freaking job.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what really irritated me about it more so than anything.
But honestly, I didn't care much about it till later. When like stuff happened because of it. Sorry, I'm like piecing my thoughts together.
It's okay.
I thought the couple like was really sweet. Like, forget Brady. Yeah, McKenna and Brady. Like, they were so freaking sweet. And because I'd heard about what happened later in the episode, I kind of guessed what was going to happen. But like, I was the entire time I was like, oh no, please let him get out, he's like the sweetest. And when he didn't, I was like, fuck. Literally just like that. I'm like, damn it. And I get this is something you see all the time, but just this was different for me. And so like, it was very sad, but I don't discount the scene.
Well, no, it was a good call because it's something that happens. And I mean, I remember even when I was a kid and my dad would drive a truck, he would tell me stories about like, he'd call them suicide wheels if you had only single wheels on the back of a big truck or a big RV, because you wouldn't be able to balance. So like the boat on the back of the truck was what was holding it onto the truck, and why the truck hadn't fallen completely. So I mean, it was a good setup and it was a good action sequence. I don't know, I think the social media aspect of it after, like the first time I watched through it, I did watch the whole scene, but it was just after we learned kind of what happened with McKenna finding out about all that stuff and what she did. I think it soured me to the whole storyline, because I like drama, but I don't like that kind of drama, because I think that was just... It
soured me towards McKenna.
Yeah.
It didn't sour me towards a storyline, so to speak. Yeah. So I can kind of get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but yeah, I'm sure
we'll talk about it more as we get to those scenes, because they're all very close together. But I think I get you guys. I get what you're saying. And the whole thing was a shit show in its own way. Yeah. Just let's be frank.
That's a good description.
Literally, like nothing was anybody's fault, and it wasn't Marjan's fault for saying something, but I kind of wish that like she would have been like, hey, like, I'm working, can you like wait until like I rescue these people and the job is done, and then I'll say something. Obviously that wasn't gonna happen, but I just wish it happened that way.
I mean,
Like, it didn't really.
so I don't blame Marjan. Like,
Yeah.
not at all. She did not hold fault in it. It definitely was not great timing. So like, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, Katie.
Yeah.
It wasn't great timing, but also it's like, she's a Instagrammer with 5 million followers. Even if she did blow them off, she'd probably get blown up on media saying that she was Chili Fox now or something like that. Like,
Probably.
honestly, people are assholes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could attest to that.
So, I don't know. It's like, there was no way that wasn't going to go sour in some.
Right. Especially if that kid posted that video of her acting or her having an attitude, that would have soured it too.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, if she had taken the time to actually explain it, let's be honest, that actually probably would have taken longer than what she said originally.
Yeah.
They were already running low on time.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It wasn't great. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no matter how you spin it, that wasn't a good situation.
no, but then again, I'm also sick of people that film all accidents they go by and that they're watching and always have to make things into a newest thrill on social media. So, no, if I blame anybody, I blame the person that was, like, filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like if something bad happens, I understand filming it because that's like basically evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But like something
Well,
like
like, if you're watching let's go with something that's been happening lately. Like, if you're watching a white cop harass a black person, then you need video evidence of it or something.
right.
But you know those people that when they pass a car crash always have to like slow down almost to stopping point
Yeah.
to watch?
And almost cause accidents because they're being the looky-loos. Yeah, I've had to deal with people like that before.
It's like, nope, mind your own damn business.
In fact, I've almost gotten into accidents because of people that slow down at an accident.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I look, but I don't drive. So, like, I take a look, and whatever I see, and that's that.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly. Like as a driver, you like if there's an accident around you, you're going to look, but you're
Yeah.
gonna look for awareness. You're not gonna
Yeah.
look because, well, at least some people don't look because they're
Right.
nosy. They need to just be aware because yeah.
Right, and even talking like we're talking about first responders here, and honestly, like that's the only reason why I slow down and look usually is because I want to make sure that there's not a cop or a firefighter running out in front of a fire truck that's blocking
Exactly.
traffic. And if I'm going by and I'm like, you know, you do slow down near accidents to go past them because, you know, you never know. A first responder may have to run across the road to get something. They're not maybe looking across the road. How many times have we heard of firefighters, police officers getting hit at an accident site because somebody was not paying attention and hit them?
but you know, there's a line there, and a lot of people go over the line
Yeah.
from cautious, aware driver into nosy snoops.
Yeah.
I'm not being very gracious to anybody tonight.
No, I agree.
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, so we are unanimously agreed, from what I can tell, about the social media situation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And now going on to Judd and Owen.
Yeah.
I actually really liked this scene.
Me
Yeah.
too.
It
Yeah.
was-
I always like
yeah.
their conversations, though.
Yeah. It was funny because we were talking last week how
Mhm.
this was cut, and then it was like in this episode. So I was watching, it was like, oh, so it wasn't cut, which I kind of had a feeling it wasn't because I don't know, I just did.
And
And
we
like,
initially saw it and we thought it was talking like Owen was asking Judd how Grace was doing, but it ends up actually being Owen asking Judd about Marjan.
Well,
and Ham.
the promo
Yeah.
was lined up that way,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
to
they
throw
were-
us off.
purposefully to save Vina. So I thought it'd been cut. Because,
Yeah.
like, you know what? It wasn't. That was basically. It seemed like an introductory thing into the promo, but
Yeah.
still wasn't lacking anything with it. But
Yeah.
I'm actually
Yeah.
kind of glad to have seen it resurface here.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it fit a lot better here, and I actually liked it because
Mm-hmm.
we got to see like we got to like I liked it for the fact that we got to hear like Judd say he's struggling about like things and struggling if he's doing the right thing or if he can actually be a captain, which I think you'd make a great captain if you were ever to get the opportunity like to actually take the captain's test and be an actual captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because of the accident, he was questioning what he did in response to that and the guy dying. Like, he could have, you know, he was like second guessing whether he should have done something differently in order to
Maybe he
possibly
should
save them
fuck.
differently.
Honestly, I'm with Owen. He did not have
Me
the
too.
time.
Yeah.
And if he had taken the time and had jostled the chain just right,
Yeah.
they would have sent the truck over sooner.
And they could have lost both of
Accidents
them.
happen.
Yeah.
They got one person out, which
Yeah.
sucks they weren't able to get both, but they could have lost both.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to make the best call you can in a snap second.
Yeah.
And we'll never know if there was a better option.
Right.
No one else can put themselves in that scenario.
Right.
But no, I think it's important though to show that Judd was questioning in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because when someone becomes complacent, that's worrying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And even Owen was like, it comes with the job of being captain. The heavy helmet, or the head that carries the helmet is heavy, or something like that. The line he said, you always, because it felt to me like Judd was saying, I'm not sure if I really should be doing this. And Owen's like, no, you're the perfect person because you do have a conscience.
Yeah.
And it is those people that just pass over it and just say, oh, yep, we're just going to do this. And then don't even think twice about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in this scene, Judd, and Owen are talking, and he mentions, oh, you should go see Billy. And I'm like, no, Judd, no. And I was like, so he does. And, this was a jinx, because a while back we were like, oh, Billy, he'll never come back. He won't be in season 2. Maybe he'll come back eventually. Oh, my God, did we jinx ourselves?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Well, and even then, I can't remember exactly what episode it was, because I know we were talking about episode 6 and 7 of the first season. I felt like he'd be back, but this is not how I thought he'd be back. And
honestly, I could have gone without ever seeing him again.
Honestly, same.
Honestly, this is going to sound weird. He looked better than he did in the first season, even though technically he has cancer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I liked how he looked better, but I don't necessarily think he looked better. I think he looked sicker.
Yeah, I think I just like the longer hair.
Yeah,
I love long hair. Love guys' long hair. Anyway.
Yeah.
Unless
I love Billy Burke,
no.
who plays Billy, but I was like, but he'll always be Charlie Swan to me. So.
Oh, yeah. I kind of forget about that. I think he's also been in a couple other things I've seen. I just can't pinpoint him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, Billy's cancer's back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he had COVID at the same time, and I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, and didn't Owen say because Judd was realizing that Owen's chomping at the bit to get back to work, because he's not really handling the time off, and it's only been 1 day. And so he says, oh, you should go talk to Billy. So Owen goes to talk to Billy, and
Yeah.
Honestly, I was maybe a little less surprised by it, because we'd just been talking about Billy from one of the promo pictures that came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I only realized that you guys had spoiled something when you were apologizing for spoiling.
I was like, oops, I think we spoiled something. When I did it, I just said what people were saying, so I'm like, I'll probably get away with it. And we started being saying something, I think, and I was like, oops, I think we just spoiled something.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't realize it was a spoiler until you guys.
Yeah, I probably could.
Even then, I still wasn't certain what exactly was being spoiled, so y'all are good.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't say too much, so
I shut. I was like, I'm gonna shut up now.
Y'all were good.
But we learned that Billy's cancer came back, like Grace said, and that he had COVID around the holidays, and then he found out his cancer had come back, and now it's spread to his lymph nodes, which usually means it's stage 4.
Right. Yeah.
Which is terminal. Well,
right.
almost
Well,
terminal.
he mentioned later on in the episode it's stage 3, but that's still not great.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that's not good.
Yeah, especially when cancer comes back, because usually if it comes back with a vengeance.
Oh, it truly does.
Oh, yeah.
It's a booger to get rid of, just to begin with. So.
Right, yeah.
And while they're talking, in the middle of it, all of a sudden Billy's phone beeps, and he grabs it and looks at it, and they listen to a dispatch call of one of the fire alarms, or one of the police responding to something.
Yeah, well, it was the 911 emergency app, so it's going to be for fire, EMS, and police.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everything, because I think there was a hostage situation. He was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just a hostage situation. He kind of goes about.
I'm sorry. I was like, I'm sorry. What? It's just a hostage situation.
I know, that's what I was like. It's just,
Well,
and then it's like, as a firefighter, it's just like, it's nothing I can handle. Or
yeah,
nothing I can
exactly. He's like, it's not for me. And like, it was
Just the flippant wording. I was like,
do.
excuse me.
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say I'm not the largest fan of civilians being able to access scanners
Yeah.
and dispatch calls, just because I'm like we need more people on the scene
Yeah.
and getting invested in something that is absolutely none of their business.
Yeah.
I'm aware I'm probably being a little harsh, and I apologize, but it's like
No,
I
I
think
agree.
it's so nonsensical, and it doesn't help anybody with anything. You need to know if something's happening that will hinder your life, watch the news.
Yeah. I don't mind it if I don't know how it is. But I don't mind it if like they have it set up so like you have to be a first responder to access it.
Oh yeah, if it's like
Yeah.
somebody off duty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like people who volunteer or like with the fire department or whatever, or people who actually are in that profession, I don't mind if it's something like that. But just the fact that anybody can download that and anybody can listen, it just seems like I could easily get into the wrong hands.
Right. As we see in this episode.
Yeah, for very
we've seen, you know, I'm only briefly going to bring this back up, but 911. Like the guy who was obsessed with fires and wanting to be a firefighter. Was that Jinx?
Yes.
Yeah, that was Jinx.
That was
he
when
had a
the
scanner.
fire truck got stolen.
That's how he got to all these places. And it's like, obviously, good people have their hands on the scanner too. Like, they're not gonna do shit. But they're not the problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's a great idea. But I do.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's secure for a reason. Because if you can listen in on it, you can interrupt it too.
Yeah.
And that could mean interrupting dispatcher getting information to the right people to get rescue there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love how Billy's like, yeah, there's an app for everything.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah,
there is. There is.
It's like it's just like when my grandmother discovered YouTube this past year, and she's like, "Wow, you can really look up everything on here." And I'm like, "Of course, it's searchable."
I'm always worried when someone says you can look up everything.
Thing.
I'm like, what exactly have you been looking up?
Yeah, I know, right?
So
sometimes you don't want to know,
right?
Probably has traumatized the poor FBI agent that's keeping track of mine.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. So Tarlos and game night.
I love this.
Goodness, I love this.
Yeah, so I love the different snacks. Mateo's cheese balls, which I have to mention are white, and this is what popped to my mind when I saw this. I was like, I can just picture Mateo showing up and being like, why are they white? People were like, I mentioned that people were like, well, like the orange ones are obviously colored, so they're probably terrible for you. I'm like, they're terrible for you either way, but I can just picture Mateo being like, oh, why are they white? I wanted orange. And then they have wasabi peas for Marjan, sunflower seeds for Paul, Nancy's beef jerky, and I'm like, okay, so Tarlos, what are you guys having?
And I'm like, each other.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
like,
if TK didn't have to answer the door, they probably would have.
Probably.
It was probably the plate of cheese that was sitting there is probably what their choice was. But like, I think the real question is, what would you guys pick from these choices?
Jerky.
Yeah, beef jerky. Honestly, I love cheese, so I might even do the cheese ball.
Me too. I do the cheese balls or jerky. Yep, that's me.
Like
Yeah.
I do it.
I
I
you,
don't
Katie.
mind sunflower seeds, but I'm not
I
big fan.
I don't know. I would either do the cheese balls or the sunflower seeds. I probably would eat very many if I got the sunflower seeds, just because I can only eat so many before I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this. So I think that's what I would pick.
Well, and it also depends on if the sunflower seeds are in the shell. Because if they're in the shell, I won't eat them. But if they're out of the shell, I'll eat. Because they take so long, and I've chipped teeth because of those sunflower seeds.
Oh my god!
Like getting them out of the shell.
Though
Yeah.
I will say, if these are the sunflower seeds that like have a chocolate covering, then sign me up.
Me
Ooh.
too. Eddie, add chocolate to just about anything, and I'll eat it.
Oh, seriously?
Literally?
Like, I'm.
I'll even eat bacon covered in chocolate. I mean, I like
Oh my
bacon.
God.
Okay, my mom has made something. Then we'll get back to the episode. But my mom has
After
which
this
is literally
short
just
moment.
frozen
Tangent.
chocolate, so like a bar
Mhm.
with bacon and sea salt.
Sounds
It's
good.
so fucking good. Okay, now I want that. Okay, I had
Yes.
2 chocolate milkshakes today. Why am I?
Oh my
still-
god.
And
What?
so we've talked about the snacks, and then TK, because Carlos is a little concerned about doing the game night after everything that Marjan had gone through that day. And TK's like, no, we have to keep it. She's like, I'm sure she's probably, because, Marjan was really upset about losing the guy at the call.
Oh, just
And-
watching her face after he went down, like, of
Yeah.
course.
Oh yeah, it was tragic.
Like TK said, he's like, she's probably cried enough for today, so we're going to give her some fun. And so it's like, but then I love what he says. And whatever you do, do not give her the Carlos cow eyes.
Yeah, that was really
I love
everything. And then
And-
wrote in putting Carlos Cowboys on his story with the
Yeah.
emojis. I was like, oh my god, that's everything.
And then
But
Carlos
it's
was like,
true. Deep,
looking at him like,
soulful,
what?
big brown eyes.
He's like, oh,
Mhm.
what?
But
think
I
they're
love
soulful.
how, like, Carlos rolls with it, and he's just getting closer with those same big eyes. And I'm like,
He's like, you
love
think
him.
you're soulful.
he's like, shut up.
And I love the little banter. And TK's not
Carlos
looking
banter.
at him in the eyes because he's.
He's like, no,
I'm like, because TK gets wrecked from them. Come on.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, he
people.
could. Yeah, if nobody was coming over, something would have happened.
Yeah, we would have seen Carlos's bedroom probably.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Honestly,
Honestly, I would have just loved if they had been Rumpel answering the door.
imagine them just sneaking away and them knocking. Be like, where'd they go? The Carters are still here.
And then somebody just says, yeah, maybe not go upstairs.
Yeah.
Should we see if it's unlocked? Oh, maybe we shouldn't.
Where are we walking into?
Pardon me for interrupting. And then everyone slowly shows up, and yeah, everything.
The game they were playing, I'm absolutely amazed and love that they were playing Settlers Catan. I love that game.
I've never heard of it.
I've
not
never
gonna
heard
lie.
of it.
It's really a cool game. You basically build like settlements and roads to connect, and it's just there's numbers on the things you need to build. So like wheat, fertile land, rock, brick, and trees, and all those combined together, you can build a road or settlements. And whoever
Oh,
wins,
that's fun.
yeah,
It does.
It's like a board game version of like a Sim City or something.
Ooh, okay, yeah. I love board games and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I would love that. Like just give me anything and stuff. But my favorite part is like apparently Tarlos is very good at games, which kind of reminds me of somebody we know, TK's father, because in the previous game night with that
Oh,
trio,
yeah.
that which I didn't think of until now, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But my favorite part was like Paul, like them being like, oh, they're winning again, and Paul being like, yeah, you know what, y'all, hey, how about we start an alliance to take down this whole Tarlos Juggernaut or whatever is going on over there?
Juggernaut, yeah.
And I was
When I heard
like-
Carlos, I was like,
I screamed. I
Yes.
screamed. Okay, this is not the first time this has happened in a show, but every time
It's
it happens, it's everything. Well, it was already. We already
Well,
knew
yeah,
that.
But it is
it's in the-
officially, undeniably, like, set in stone, like it wasn't already before.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
it's
like
It's not just the fan name. It's not just
it's
René
yeah.
Rafa's name or so.
Well, yeah.
It is official. Okay.
Yeah, and I love that, and like then you see like TK and Carlos like each other like What the heck did they just call it?
I kind of just love, like, they were just sitting there and letting them be idiots in their own way. Just like,
Yeah.
we're here to cheer Marjan up. Let's let them talk themselves out.
Yeah, literally.
And then
they got beaten.
Marjan ends up winning, which was
yeah,
cool.
yes.
And it's kind of a strategy game because, like, you can play on teams. Because I think it's the basic game you can only play, I think, 4 players, but then in the expansion you can get up to 6 players.
Mhm.
So a lot of people will team up, and then you're supposed to trade your resources back and forth to build things. So that was what they were talking about. Starting an alliance was all of them trading amongst each other to get all the things they needed to beat.
The ultimate team, which
Yeah.
is.
And I'm like, I'm saying it now. I want to play Settlers of Catan with Ronan and Rafa.
Yeah.
Somehow I would.
Oh my god, yes. Us there in them. Okay. Yes. I just invited us, me and Grace, into this whole thing.
Can't
But I
take it
think
back
that's
now.
okay.
Yes,
We're
that's
coming.
okay.
You
We
know, I
would
was thinking
do
when you
podcast.
I'm
You know,
like-
we could have podcast game night.
I was
Oh,
going to say, I'm like, earlier I was going to say that when we eventually get to see each other in person at some point, we've already established we're going to Rage Room, but why don't we play a board game as well?
yes.
That
I'm
will be our
down.
relaxing
I am
day.
so down.
Yeah.
After
Literally.
we've taken all of our energy out on the race.
Oh.
We'll be like, okay,
Yes.
tired.
Yes. I'm down.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
So after Marjan wins, she starts getting distracted by her phone, and her phone is beeping like crazy, and she's getting alerts. McKenna has posted a pretty nasty slam video against Marjan, talking about Firefox should be canceled and going on about it. But unfortunately, she was taking the social media video that the guy who was originally had filmed out of context and was saying that Marjan was more interested in likes and getting followers than she was her doing her job. And was blaming that on why Marjan didn't get her husband out in time.
Yeah, which
It's not fair.
yeah, it's really not fair. And like, I don't like any of this because like this is like obviously very toxic, and cancel culture is toxic, and it's terrible. Like, I don't like how like people who aren't like, obviously people who aren't first responders don't get what they go through. People don't get these situations, and I understand she's going through an immense amount of grief, and I'm sympathetic to that. But it's terrible how somebody can look at somebody's life and look at their job and just ruin their life over one split-second decision or one freak accident, which this was, and just point fingers and be like, well, you did this, and like, it wasn't Marjan's fault. It was nobody's fault that he died. Like, they did the best they could, and like, I hope that if we were to see her again, that like she would come to her senses and realize that Marjan was just doing her job, and like, yeah, like maybe she shouldn't have done this, but like, would it have really changed the situation? Maybe not.
It would not have changed anything.
Exactly.
There was really no way they could have got him out in time in this path they went down, which was not decided by Marjan.
Right. Well, and the thing was, she was down there trying to get the guy out when the truck fell.
If you had still been up there, like, making a record, I would be.
Because if Marjan had gotten stuck in, like, her jacket had gotten stuck in, like, the windshield or something, she could have gone down with it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Or had her arm pulled off because she was tied up above, and when the truck goes down, she could have lost her arm. I mean, so for her to go off on Marjan because that was just totally unfair and not taking anything into consideration. But and you're right, Katie. I mean, like, I can sympathize with her, and I can understand you where she was going through a lot of grief. But like, taking and going through the anger and like attacking Marjan is just not the way to go. I really felt bad.
Grief does weird things to people.
Yeah.
And so I can get it. She's upset, but she stepped way out of line.
Yeah.
And what's worse, she created a hard bully situation online.
Yeah.
She attacked Marjan, and then everyone else went after her, and that is her fault.
Yeah.
She had control over that.
Yeah.
She had control over what she said. She told them to attack her.
Yeah.
And she got attacked.
And if she would have gone about it the right way, she could have reported and felt like she could have made a report that felt like it was negligence on the 126's part, and there would have been an investigation. And that would have been the legit way to go about it. But instead, she chose to do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wonder if that was just because Marjan was the one trying to get her husband out and she didn't succeed. Like,
well, she was looking for somebody to blame, and Marjan was the one trying to get her husband out. And so.
And I'm like, this is something to me that is like, okay, I get it, but this is so far beyond unforgivable to me.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, you just created a monster.
Right. She was cyberbullying. She didn't have.
Yeah.
She didn't have the guts to go to Marjan face to face and say something to her.
No.
Which is what she should have done.
No. Instead, she just.
But
she did what far too many people do.
Yep.
And at that point, I'm sorry, I know she was grieving her husband, but I would have slapped her. Yeah. Because I was pissed at this point.
This really bothered me and also made me really angry because like it wasn't her fault and it sucks and like you're going through a lot of pain because you lost love of your life, but it's really nobody's fault and stuff.
Well, and the thing of it is, Marjan never asked to be Firefox. It's just because she made some split-second decisions in Miami that were kind of maybe not supposed to be done, but she ended up doing them anyways. That's how she got the nickname. I mean, she didn't purposely do it.
Yeah,
she wasn't looking for followers.
Yeah, she wasn't looking for it, and maybe like it was one of those. Yeah, she definitely.
She does not let it hinder her job.
Yeah, she definitely embraces it. Like it could have been like one of those things where like she just got all this attention on the job. Maybe she didn't have like a social media at all, but because of this, she made one. But even then, it doesn't really matter because she still didn't choose this life, even though she's embracing it. Like it still isn't. Any situation she gets in, it's not her fault.
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's all we have to say on that or what.
I'm sure we'll talk about more later.
I'm sure
we'll have more to speak about it because this is not the end of it. But
yeah, exactly.
I think we're all pretty unanimous on what we think. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Moving on, we've got, because Owen, I guess, one of his things is he's going to repaint his bathroom. So he's taping up the bathroom and getting ready to do that. And Mateo comes in and says, "Hey, Cap." Then Owen glares at him like he gave the same glare he gave to Carlos a few times.
Except for Mateo comes to it very soon. Very much so sooner than Carlos did. He was like, "Owen." And I was like, well, that was a lot faster than Carlos. Okay. Yeah, I'm like, so like Mateo's going tubing or whatever, and then Mateo's like, "Oh, do you want help with that?" And he's like, "I could get it done a lot quicker or whatever." And Owen's just like, "What makes you think I want to get this done really fast?"
He just wants
he's off for
something
3 weeks.
Do.
He's gonna be off for 3 to 4 weeks. I think
he would take like 5-minute long brush strokes.
Yeah.
That he would have something last him through.
Yeah. So
like that is so relatable.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I know. Definitely. And then like Mateo goes off in his merry way, and then as he's going off, Owen's like, "Don't forget sunscreening." When that moment happened, I literally said out loud, "Aw."
I thought that was adorable.
I thought it was so cute. I'm like, of course, but like it was just so cute. I was like, oh my god.
And then I like the montage they had of like Owen, like he's trying to paint the bathroom and he's trying to repot plants and he's just listening to his meditation tapes and he's just doing all this stuff and he's not really getting anywhere.
He's trying to listen to the meditation tapes. He's trying to do all these things. He eventually tries to get the puzzle and he's like, "No, can't do it." So he downloads the 911 app, which is the worst mistake you can make. And then he's able to do the puzzle and do all these things.
Mm-hmm. In one day.
Yeah, in one day. So now...
In that case, you're wondering, exactly what espresso machine do you have at home?
I know, right?
Honestly.
And then I liked at one point, I think he was walking down the street and he was talking on the phone with TK. So I really liked that, like TK calling him, checking in on him for while he's at work.
Yeah.
And inviting him over to dinner with the Reyes's at TK and Carlos's later in the week. And he happens to be listening to the 911 app as he goes in to buy some juice and finds out there's a fire just down the street. So he runs off and saves a guy at the same time, or he's already saved the guy as soon as the 126 gets there. I can't remember how panned out.
Yeah.
So he got there. He saw a guy come running out. That was the arsonist. But then he saw a guy come out on fire, and he put out the fire. But then he finds that there's another guy still inside, and so he goes in after him. The guy was blinded by a flashback. That happens often. You get temporarily blinded.
Yeah.
Right.
So we got him out, and just after that, it exploded. This is why I watched it.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And like, so like, then the 126 rolls up and you can see Judd giving everyone orders. And then Judd spots Owen. His face was like one I cannot get out of my head. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? And I'm like, oh my god, I love the authority.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's like telling him how he's a civilian. He needs to go home. He like told him to go home probably like 20 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Owen's
good
kind
thing.
of falling back into captain mode, which I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
so
I can
typical.
kind of feel
And I'm like, good thing TK wasn't there because he would be in so much trouble if TK was there.
Oh yeah. Well, and then like Owen's like starting to give orders to other people like as he's walking away, and then Owen's like go, or Judd's like go home.
Yeah, go home already.
And then
126, give him hell, and I'm like, oh.
I love that.
He's like, I miss my team.
Yes.
So
Then
the point where I'd like to point in some, like,
yes,
throw in something, because we're getting to the part with the arson investigator. Honestly, I skipped through most of this, but I caught a fair amount of it.
Yeah. No,
I feel like in this episode, I feel like lately the show has been trying to make Owen seem crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode had a lot of that element, and I think this is why I don't... Overall, this is not one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Because I already hated how the fans are doing right now, but to see the show, like, really trying to make him seem crazy, like... Maybe they're trying to make us think he's the arsonist. We know he's not the arsonist, like, what the hell.
Right.
But I don't know what's going on there, but he...
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And yeah, so it's like the next day, and Owen's meeting with the arson investigator, and this guy gave me a weird vibe. The second he walked in, he gave me such a weird vibe. Like I'm so off by him, and like this scene, like I don't know, I've only watched it once because it was kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of didn't like it. Basically, all like I got out of it is like him asking Owen a bunch of questions and like kind of being suspicious and kind of just like whatever. And he's like, he mentioned how he got to the call, which is listening to the app, and he's like, why would you do that? He's like, for fun. And then like Owen's like adamant that it's arson. He even told Judd in the previous scene when he got to the scene that it's arson and he needs to look out and watch out.
Yeah, because there were patterns.
Yeah.
And
this
is frustrating as the audience.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and also like that happens in every show, like and stuff. But like Owen's like knows it's arson, and he's like explaining what the guy looked like to his ability. He never saw his face, and he's like, how do you know it's a guy? And he's like, 30 years of doing this, and like it's always a guy. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know. And then like I don't know.
And the questions
the questions were typical, but
but Owen answering them, they're like, it was almost like he was purposely like trying to put Owen at the scene, and like he was and even later Judd makes the comment that Owen didn't do so well with that interview.
Yeah, I mean they're doing that on purpose, I feel like, in a way, because they're trying to gauge how you're going to respond to the question, so it almost seem like they're making you like the
crying wolf.
Yeah, well, they're trying to make him be like the main suspect.
Yeah,
so they're basically making him guilty. And like also this happens in every show, like I feel like, where they deny it's arson, they say it's not arson, and then they're like, oh, never mind, it is arson. And then it always ends up being like, in most shows, it always ends up being like a firefighter that's snooping around that gets in some sort of mess like this. So like I'm not really surprised of how this whole interview went.
So my mom, I was thinking about this when my mom was a cop. this was like 30, 40 years ago, when she was training in the academy, they had a couple of arson investigators that were quote-unquote supposed to be training with them. But these were kind of overweight older guys who would smile and wave at the cadets as they ran by, but never actually did anything themselves.
Oh my god.
Kind of like, I just thought you guys might enjoy that little tip.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's funny. I have a theory too, and I'll talk about it at the end because I have an idea too that it's different than a lot of what we've talked about too.
Yeah.
I think just here, I personally felt like guy was trying to make him seem like he was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because of some of the directions of his questions. Like, right. I get they're trying to make him doubt it, like trying to see how sure he is.
Yeah.
But honestly, I just felt so uncomfortable, and
I did too. Yeah. And it was like he was purposely saying, like, well, why are you not currently working? And because I just got out of surgery. Well, are you sure you're mental? You know, and it's like, are you It's almost like he was trying to like mentally see if he was even like with
when
it.
When someone tries to. In that case, I'm always ready to go punch somebody, just to be honest. Because, like, when they're trying to attack someone mentally like that, it's like, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't like that.
Like, I get it, questioning techniques, but you're talking to a witness. You're not actually talking to a current suspect, as Owen has given you nothing to assume he is a suspect. Not at a point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Like
treat him as a witness, not treat him as the first interview of a witness, not any further breaking down.
Yeah, exactly. And then only a brief mention because like this. Okay. Yeah, that was Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper's making his. Yeah, he was really upset there too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Right. Yeah. And then just a brief mention, but Marsha was going to like I guess practice with her roller derby team, the Austin Annihilators, and basically they got disqualified or something from a competition because of all this drama, which I felt so bad because I love this storyline and I love this from Rajan, so I really hated this.
Yeah.
And
well, it was the Houston competition or whatever, they wanted them to withdraw because they didn't, and they're like, well, we don't know why, and then Marjan's like, no, it's because of me, and then that's when they said, and they're like, no, we're gonna withdraw because they're not gonna tell us who can play and not play on our team.
I kind of loved the loyalty they were showing.
Yeah, I loved that they were like willing to like just like basically like withdraw just from obviously, but like I loved like just how they were willing enough to do that because some people aren't like that, and that's like a true like team.
And the girl who was injured in the first episode.
And she was playing. Yeah, I really liked her and stuff when she was like talking to Marjan and stuff. I was like, oh
yeah. Am I the only one who's a little disturbed by like what was it? The board, the association, the whatever controlling the competition. Like, am I the only one who's a little disturbed by what they did?
I mean, okay, so
I'm mad about it. But
I'm mad, but I'm not surprised if that makes any sense. Like, I feel like things happen all the time when there's controversy where people get like they do things like this and stuff, which I get they have to like look out for them, but I'm also like, what the hell? Like obviously like whatever, but like I was a little it was just no.
Yeah, I don't know. I just had a weird feeling about it, but it's like I know. I think from the view of some people that would have been the right decision because they only knew McKenna's side of it, and you know, I don't know. It's just I thought it sucked because that was like throwing an already burnt dish into the fire. I mean,
and Marjan even was like, she'd have been talking to them about, you know, how crappy she felt and, you know, wanting to kind of, you know, move on, but, you know, she just felt bad. And then to have this come up, she's like, no, she's like, I know it's because of me, so just like go, because she didn't want them to withdraw from the competition.
Yeah.
So she
I'll
just.
be honest, I hate seeing Marjan beaten down.
Me too.
So it's like
she's such an awesome and tough character to see her down like that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know, I just love that storyline. So I hope this isn't like it for it. I hope like, which I don't feel like it would be, but I don't know.
I don't think so. I want to see it again in like a happier.
Yes, like yeah, definitely.
I know. I think it was kind of nice to see that she's still on the team, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Something good to come out of that.
Yeah. So then we have dinner with Tommy and Charles, Jed and Grace at Tommy and Charles's house, and they find out that an investor is wanting to buy in to help reopen the restaurant.
Yeah, this goes with a later theory that I have.
Yeah.
It just made me think of a lot of different things.
Me too.
I grew a theory for episode 13 with this, so I'm like, okay.
Yes.
And we find out that Grace is off using the walker, so it's been a little bit of time since the accident and the previous episodes. We're not really sure how much.
Yeah, I'm very curious to know, like, and stuff, because I'm like, well, the last episode she was not doing very well, so it has to be, I have to say, it has to be a couple months, because there is no way.
Well, also, okay, so Owen's just had his surgery. He'd cancel it. Surgeries are hard to get scheduled.
Exactly my thought.
So
especially with COVID.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Surgeries in normal time take like even like 3 to 6 months. I don't think it was more than 6 months, but I'm just saying in general they take
I'd say
months.
maybe at most 3, but I imagine a little shorter in this time.
Yeah, it's probably anywhere from like, I would say 2 or 3. I don't think it was 1 month because there's definitely no way she was like off the walker in 1 month, I think.
Right.
But yeah, and like she offers the babysit. It's like the cutest thing ever. And Jed's always reluctant, and I'm like, Jed, you're gonna have a baby soon. Come on now.
Right.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And and then everyone's like talking about things, and they share that Jed's kind of been concerned about Owen, and Tommy talks a little bit about it. She's like, but he's not crazy. And I love that there's that montage of like Owen going to the hardware store and buying all this stuff. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Owen?
I'm like, yeah, same.
I mean, technically this was brilliant in its own way, but also what the fuck?
It was brilliantly crazy. Like when Tommy said that, I'm like, Tommy, you spoke too soon.
They jinxed it again.
Oh my god, they really did.
They did. Like, seriously, guys, stop poking. It's like he was testing a hypothesis.
Yeah.
He was getting proof, but also like that's a little crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's just a little crazy because we know stuff's gonna go down in the next episode, where somebody's gonna find that and be like, "Well, he's guilty."
I know, they're gonna be like, well, he has everything here that would cause the fire that happened the other day. So so basically he's trying to recreate what happened in the arson in his backyard with a small setup. And so like he figures it out, like, and it's like he's got this like mad scientist like look almost.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then like the next day he's got all of this stuff sitting out and Billy's over. And I'm like, Billy is over visiting and they're chatting about it. He's like, see, and I know it. Billy's a captain too, so he's trying to get Billy to be on his side and like showing him all the proof that this was working. And Billy's like, yeah, remember when you said that it was probably not good for my mental health to be listening to that app? Yeah, I think you just proved it.
Okay. This is the thing. When he really showed up, I was like, oh no. First of all, Billy cannot be trusted.
No,
we know that from episode 6 and 7 from the previous season. So like Owen, I mean, Billy's just as crazy as you are, so I guess you were saying something there. I mean,
two peas in a pod right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Ted also did that.
Yeah.
But
honestly, this was the first, like, towards the end of the scene was the first time where I felt slight distrust towards Billy in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know, I think to me I was just like, oh, it's gonna be way too cliche to have him come back and be awful. Like, come on, guys, you guys are worth more than that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I think we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
Right, and it was funny how like he's walking through Billy with everything, right, and then he gets to a point and he's like, Billy's like, I'm gonna go get another beer. He's just like kind of walks away, and then Owen's like, but he's like, when we go to AI, arson investigation, and Billy's like, wait, we? He's like, well, yeah, and he's like, why am I gonna get involved in this? And he goes, well, because my interview didn't go so well with arson. I was like, yeah, because they thought you were crazy.
Which you honestly, kind of are.
I can see why he's this desperate, though, because he knows he's right, but he's being doubted. He needs to prove... I think he even needs to prove to himself that he's not crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because now people are placing doubt in his mind.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get a fellow captain who's also off work to help him prove that he's not crazy. I just feel like this is going to backfire in a big way. And that's all I'm going to say right now.
We'll tackle that more.
Oh, it definitely is. Okay. Yeah.
At this point, I feel like nothing good is going to come of anything.
Yeah.
Which sounds supremely depressing said out loud, but we'll see. I kind of liked what Billy said about like he can't lose his healthcare and pension over this, because he was Owen was suggesting they break into the textile factory to examine the burn patterns.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. You're not an arson. You're not an arson investigator, and you're not even like a fire arson guy. You're a firefighter, and at this point you're just a civilian because you're on a work leave. You're on medical leave right now. You need to stop.
Stop digging your own hole.
I'm like, TK, go get your father.
Honestly, it's like rein him in.
Honestly, if TK hadn't moved out the previous episode, if TK still lived there, TK would be like, Dad, you are crazy. What are you doing? There would have been a second intervention.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, there definitely would have been a second intervention after TK saw what went down.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, so that'd be like one of my favorite things is like Paul and Marjan scene, which we haven't gotten so long, so I was so happy about this.
I love this duo.
Yeah,
they are awesome together.
Yeah, like every time I've gotten a scene with them, it's always been with Mateo, and I love Mateo, but I just wanted Marjan and Paul to have a scene, and it finally happened. Yes.
Like, they're so, for one thing, they're so similar maturity-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they're just so similar in their own ways, and they complement each other with their differences.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, like, I love this duo.
Yes.
And, like, Paul was being so sweet and affirming to her, and I'm like, love that.
Yes, and like he always knows what to say, and he always gives good advice, and I just love it.
Yeah.
I love Paul and Marjan together, and and then they're talking about, like what she wants to do. Like she wants to apologize to McKenna, and Paul says, no, that's not a good idea. He follows her because she ends up going to McKenna's, and
I'm vaguely concerned how she knew where that was.
Yeah, I'm a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like for accidents, usually you have to. Well, I don't know. Like that's so weird how she figured out. Because like I know for accidents, obviously you have to show your driver's license. She could have easily gotten the address,
but that's like a violation of privacy.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how she got it. Honestly, probably social media. Let's be real.
Honestly, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. The only thing that makes me uncomfortable is the fact that she knew where she lived.
Yeah.
But also, I trust Marjan, but with anybody else, it's like, that's so fucking creepy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this moves into the scene that should have had a trigger warning.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Fox.
Yeah. I'm just gonna give a trigger warning. Like, if, like, suicide attempts and, like, this kind of thing triggers you, maybe I'll put a timestamp actually for like this part of the podcast if you want to skip it, just so you can skip it. I don't know how long we'll talk about it. Probably not long. I don't want to talk about it for long, but yeah, just skip it if you don't like it. Yeah, there should have been a a warning at the beginning of the episode, and also there should have been like resources, I believe, at the end of the episode, because any episode that deals with any like thing that's triggering usually has that. And I'm kind of like a little irritated and mad that they didn't do that, because they definitely should have. First of all, there is a warning at the beginning of the 911 episode, and I don't really think anything like super triggering happened in that episode. I'm kind of irritated they put one during that one but not during this one. It's just like and I didn't like, I've seen similar to this one, they're a lot worse, but at least there was a trigger warning and I knew it was coming, and this just really bothered me and stuff for personal reasons. And it was just, I didn't like, if they were to give a trigger warning, then I would have known about it and I probably would have been fine, but I just didn't like.
Yeah, you weren't prepared.
I wasn't prepared. I didn't know it was coming, and it was just like so much.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I was like, I'm super grateful. I'm on the Pacific Coast, so
yeah,
like after you messaged about it, then like my Twitter feed was like going crazy with all sorts of people saying that there should have been a trigger warning. Like, wow, this really been a much.
And even Ronan was like reposting like timestamps and stuff like that was being given. I'm like, yes, boy, because he didn't have to do that considering he's on the show, but he did because he's amazing like that.
And he's also a fan of the show and doesn't often read other scenes except his, so he can be surprised during the show.
Yeah,
I think of the fact he wouldn't have known that was coming, but he would have.
Yeah,
Okay. So I am very grateful, Katie, that you gave us a warning.
Yes.
I did not skip this in the end because I'm like, I want to watch this through once.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And you knew
I
it
closed
was
my
coming.
eyes but listened to it.
Yeah. And you like knew it was coming. It wasn't like me where I was like blindsided. I was like,
right.
Like, I guess maybe the show thought there was enough of a warning with Paul's finding the post.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't cut it. Like,
well,
great.
Yeah, it doesn't cut it. The thing is we didn't know what we were walking into. We didn't know that it was going to be what it was. It could have been pills. It could have been so many things that weren't as graphic.
Pretty graphic, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, first glimpse, when they first found her, that wasn't necessarily upsetting to me. It was the prolonged scene afterwards.
Yeah,
that was just kind of like I wouldn't need to skip it again necessarily, me personally, but it was still distressing in its own way. And honestly, I was under the impression she died. So, learning that she didn't die, I was like, oh, that's a little better, but what the hell?
Yeah,
At the same time, though, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I would have been upset if she hadn't gone, because she was so miserable. Like, if she hadn't been brought back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think I said the opposite thing before.
Yeah. I think I got what you're trying to say, but yeah.
If she had died, like, that would have been really sad, but it was also really miserable. And I think I just am feeling real compassion for the fact that she's going to have to deal with all the shit that comes with attempting suicide, plus grief, plus all of that. I'm just like, living is not going to make her life easier.
Right. And I'm grateful that Paul had the instinct to go follow Marjan.
Yes.
So she wasn't walking into that alone, because he's the one that found the post and like kind of put some of the pieces together, and then they realized like that's like a goodbye post. Yeah. And so like so they had kind of an awareness, and like they got into her house, and it, so there were good elements to it. It was just she's gonna have a long road to recovery. And then even afterwards, like after the paramedics show up, and they're trying everything they can there to stop the bleeding, and they can't, and then they end up getting saran wrap to help seal the wound, which is smart. I mean, and it's good on the dispatchers and to like tell them to do that.
Yeah.
Because the vertical way is much more intentional, much harder to stop. Yeah. And I even hate the fact I know that, but I know it. So it's like, that's they were lucky to have gotten her, but that was a tough scene.
Yeah, definitely was.
Props to Brian and Natasha.
Oh yeah, yes, their acting in the scene. I especially like the after part, after they like get her in the ambulance and like the paramedic says that she's gonna be okay. I like Paul saying, you you hear that you saved her life because that's who you are. Because Marjan was contemplating, like, if she was the social media person or if she actually, like if she was, I guess, greedy in that part, I guess, is kind of it. And she's like, it's who we are. And I was like, I love that scene for that moment.
Yeah, that like the aftermath little bit of it, and I think she really needed to see, like, everyone else could see that she's not in it for the fame.
Right.
But in that moment, because of the accusation that McKenna put forth against her, and all of that, it's like, she couldn't see it anymore.
Well, yeah. And then even the paramedic calling her Firefox, and she's like, no, you can't say anything that I was even here.
Yeah.
Because, like, she didn't want that to get out that she was even there.
Oh, yeah. He's like, well, they'll know off the doorbell camera. She's like, that's fine, but don't post about it. And I liked that she said that because, like, everyone just needs to post everything these days. And, like, that's invasion of privacy just because she's gone viral several times, and just because her life is out there doesn't mean you need to post everything about her personal life, because that's just not okay. Yeah.
But then we finally get to the end scene.
Finally.
Kind of semi-end scene.
Yeah, semi-end scene, yes. Second to last.
Oh, Carlos looking fine in that sweater shirt. Yeah. I really like that. I liked all their outfits. I always like all their outfits, but in this episode, they were fire. I loved it. It was just like, and oh my god, I love Carlos's mom. I love her.
I love her, Andrea.
I love how she
called him TK.
Yes.
Oh, and she apologizes for calling him TJ.
Yes, I love how she walked in. She's like, "Hey, TK, oh, you look so handsome," and I'm like, "Oh, my heart."
I love it.
And she was like, "Oh, and TK, I owe you an apology. That day we met in the market, I called you TJ." He's like, "Oh, no, it's fine. It's an easy mistake." And Gabriel's like, that our son should have corrected, and Carlos's face is like, "Oh shit." And TK's like, "Don't worry, Mr. Reeves. We had a conversation about it, didn't we, Carlos?"
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. Oh my god, that was my favorite part of the episode. I just love this scene so much. And then Carlos goes to the fridge to make him margaritas. And he was like, he forgot the limes. Like, how could I forget the limes? And TK's like, pull yourself out of the shape spiral, Carlos. It's no big deal. And TK calls Owen, like, Dad, can you pick up limes? And he's just like, oh yeah, sure, after run my errand. Oh boy. And then TK's like, before we even get there, TK's like, crisis averted, and Carlos's face is just like, oh, I love this season 4.
I'm so in love.
I could rewatch that hundreds of times. Heck, I have.
And one of the things that got me at first when I first watched it, I was like, why did they bring an Uber? You're like a ride share. I'm like, oh yeah, because they're probably drinking and they don't want to drive home. So because they came with an Uber.
Oh yeah, they're either drinking or they just don't want to drive or whatever, or like parking because it's like an apartment. They might not have a lot of parking. There's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
So,
but I thought that was
so funny. So, Owen's errand, obviously we know the errand is not an errand. It's like going to check out the textile factory, the one that was obviously arson. And I was like, of course, like I knew that was coming. And I was like, no, Owen, what are you doing? And so he checks.
Like, I get testing out your theory, so to speak, just scientifically speaking, but disturbing a crime scene.
Yeah.
And also being at a crime scene late at night is perhaps the worst idea ever.
Not to mention it's trespassing.
And you're putting your fingerprints all over the place.
Right? Yeah, he didn't. I don't think he had gloves on.
Which, granted, that is a crime scene that has already been processed, but it's not even looked at as a crime scene just yet.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe it's an arson.
Yeah. Well, I also like the arson dude was already like suspicious about Owen, so that's not really gonna help him, and they
Right.
can easily go back there and stuff. And
And
so Owen snoops around and whatever.
He finds the alligator skin pattern
Yeah.
that proves his hypothesis about the fire.
Yeah.
And he finds some of the other equipment that he had suspected.
And the circuit breaker. And
like fake circuit breaker versus real circuit breaker. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, you got it. But then, and I knew this was coming because I've seen the scene in promos.
Mhm.
Not in promos necessarily. I don't know. It was posted on Instagram.
Yeah, it was in a promo. It was in several promos, I think.
And then he gets knocked out.
Yeah, anyway.
And I just went, crap.
Yeah,
like, I knew it was coming, but...
yeah, and, like, then you see, like, another fire's, like, set. And also, when he gets hit in the back of the head, I'm like, oh, and have you learned nothing from TK's recent injury?
Oh, God, yeah, I know, right?
Like, father like son, or should I say... No, yeah, father like son.
Yeah.
And then Owen wakes up with fire all around him.
I'm just like, okay, so how are you going to go from that to the scene in the beginning of the episode where he's arrested?
Yeah, and off in the distance he can see the arsonist standing kind of, you know, in the hoodie and everything.
One of the key things about arsonists, they like to watch it burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, let's just be real here. They should have set Paul on the case.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god.
Chicago?
Oh my god. Remember, like, in the pilot, like, he was the one that, oh my god.
He was the one who found the arsonist. Just set him on the case. He's like,
yeah, give him 5 minutes and he'll figure it out. So one thing we didn't mention when the Owen and Billy discussion, when they were at Owen's house, Owen had a stack of files. He says there's similar fires over the last couple of months.
I believe it was 8 similar fires.
Yeah, similar fires that he's had going back few months that they just deemed an electrical fire. And Owen had found, like, somebody had switched out the breaker to look like the real breaker, but it was a different one, so it shorted. And so he found other cases, so he's like, there's a serial arsonist. So he's telling Billy this. And I'm like, yeah, we didn't mention that. And so then he's checking this stuff out, because he's probably trying to build a case to go to arson with and being like, look, here's proof.
He thinks he's gonna get away with having
he's definitely gonna get in trouble for sure. Like,
but honestly, I can see the appeal if you just get them looking at the case. Yeah. But also, if they were already suspicious, which was what it appeared to be, then they're going to claim that he set it up, and it's like, it's kind of a headbang moment.
Yeah, it really is.
People, like, just can't.
Yeah. So the promo. Yeah, this is where everything's just gonna come out, because, like, there's so many things to say, but basically Billy tells the arson guy that I took these photos 10 minutes before the warehouse burned down. Your arsonist is Owen Strand. And I'm just like, no. Like, just the fact that I knew this was gonna come, like, I was hopeful that he wouldn't go this route, but, like, why would they bring him back if they weren't gonna have, like, well, no.
Well, just, like,
he's here.
I just want somebody to get suspicious of the fact he was taking photos of Owen.
Also, I won't believe it that it was 10 minutes, because, first of all, that looked light, and when Owen was in the car, it looked dark.
It was dark.
Yeah, so I don't believe that, like, I need to see the timestamp, because I don't believe those were taken when he says they were taken.
Right.
Because it looked totally different from
and
what
then the
he
question
claims.
is, how did Billy know he was going to be at that spot 10 minutes before?
Let's see, was this the textile factory when it was burned down? Or when was it?
Well, Owen went back to the place that burned down earlier in the episode. Mm-hmm. I think because oftentimes arsonists, if they know they're being onto them, they will relight places to burn any additional evidence that's there, to sort of alter the evidence that's there. So I think whoever the arsonist is, I think that's the place that was burning.
Oh, yeah. We see Owen get arrested. Then I like this, that Carlos goes to the firehouse and tells TK the Rangers took your dad into custody. And TK's face, I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then you see Owen's house being searched, which this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. That
This is just kind of like another head moment. Like,
yes,
Yes.
so they're gonna find everything that he, unless he destroyed it, which I highly doubt it, that he like set
if he was
up
guilty,
a scenario.
he would have destroyed it.
Yeah, I doubt he did. So every scenario, every fake, the counterfeit breaker, they're gonna find everything.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff. I also kind of feel bad for Mateo a little bit because he lives with Owen, so all his stuff is gonna get like thrown around.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder if it's gonna come into play that his place just blew up.
Oh, that would be interesting. Like, that like plays with a lot of things that happen too. I wonder if it will. I wonder.
And then Owen telling Gabriel, I know this looks bad, but I didn't do it. I was framed. So now Owen's like, I was framed, which obviously we know he was.
Yeah, we know he was, but also there's this fact where Gabriel's probably like, yeah, everyone says that. Like, everyone always says they're framed, and and then there was a blaze at the 126 and
like it was coming out of something. It was like the fire alarm or something. I couldn't tell exactly what it was coming out of.
Yeah. So, and then we know we've seen views of this part of the promo before where Carlos and TK's is on fire, and so Carlos yells for TK, so he's obviously there.
Yeah. Okay, so I
have a theory about that.
I'll build on top of your theory because.
You can go first.
No. It was yours the one that TK must be downstairs?
Yes. Well, I mean,
I believe that too.
Yeah,
I don't actually think that. Because he has to be downstairs, but if his bedroom is upstairs, he could be calling back to TK, who's in the bedroom.
Yeah, but Carlos is standing at the top of the stairs. That's why I said
that's kind of what I'm saying.
I think they're in bed.
He heard something breaking, or he heard because he makes glass break. Maybe he heard a vase break. Maybe he heard something else coming down. There could have been a lot that drew him downstairs, or drew him to the top of the stairs.
Well, TK's been a firefighter for a long time. He's going to know the smell of smoke even before it gets to them. So I think they were in bed together, and I think they woke up, he smelled it, ran, took off running, and Carlos is standing at the top of the stairs yelling for TK because TK's already down there trying to put the fire out.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that, but I definitely... I don't know.
I'm split. I can see either way, but my first
so many ways it could
yelling
happen.
Back into the bedroom.
I could see that happening, but also I've seen pictures, and the fire is pretty crazy, and I just can't really wrap my head around him trying to put it out.
Yeah. I don't know. I think anything's possible.
Yeah, honestly.
And so it so many different ways. I mean, and they're gonna obviously show stuff that they want to throw us off because they don't want us to, to figure it out.
Yeah.
They don't know us as well as they think they do.
Exactly. We're like Paul.
Yeah,
we can see right through everything.
Yeah, like
be dubious about anything till the actual episode comes out.
Yeah.
Even then, still don't trust them fully. Just saying.
Yeah. So I feel like we have a few theories. So I mean, just a few. So like during this whole episode, I was like, okay, well, I was thinking about, you can't convince me that Billy isn't the arsonist. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know what that means, but he has stage 3 cancer. Like, he really doesn't have anything to lose because he probably figures he's gonna die. Not even that, but I just feel like, why, just logically for the show, why bring Billy back if you weren't gonna do something really huge or even do something like this? And also, we know that Billy's jealous of Owen. He's jealous of all these things, and stuff. And I don't know. I feel like it's just it's definitely if he's not I definitely think he's the arsonist. To what role he plays, who knows? Because he could honestly hire somebody to do all the dirty work so that way he keeps his hands clean.
I don't see that. I see him as a very hands-on type of guy.
I mean, I do too, but he has to have some I don't really think he cares. I think I don't know. He's gonna get careless.
Look at this. He lives alone. he's a fairly respectable firefighter, and like he's fighting for his life with cancer. Nobody's gonna look at him.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, we think he lives alone. I think he lives alone. Is it?
Yeah.
He lives alone? I don't know.
I think he mentioned being divorced before, so yeah.
Yeah, and then he didn't have kids.
Yeah.
So he's alone. So partway through the episode, it popped into my head that Billy may be the arsonist. And honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, the only other person I put forth, completely random, but the actual arson investigator.
Oh, I thought that too.
Yeah,
but then
me
I was
too.
that would be like kind of a, I've never seen that before. Obviously, firefighters have like in other shows have been arsonists in shows. They don't call them arsonist firefighters for no reason, but that'd be a different take. So I don't know. Anything's possible.
I don't know. I think that's what it's gonna be, but also it's like the clincher for me, like the affirming part about it is the promo.
Yeah.
Showing the photos. It's like
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah, so I mean, long before we even knew that Billy was back, I had a suspicion that Billy was possibly going to be the arsonist because we'd heard about there being an arson like issue and Owen getting tangled up in that. And I thought, well, what if it's Billy? And then I'm like, nah. I'm thinking, oh, I heard other details, and I'm like, it can't be Billy. He's not coming back for that kind of stuff. And then I'm like, after this episode, I was like, I'm 100% sure. Now I'm like 95% because I'm like, he listens to dispatch to keep up with the calls. So he's like, it's almost like he's setting fires to listen to the response, which is something that's like a symptom, or like, what am I talking about? Like an MO of
an
arsonist.
Firefighter.
Yeah. So like they enjoy listening to the response. And so he just never expected that Owen would be poking his nose around when these fires are going on. So when Owen starts dragging him into like showing him all the stuff, I'm thinking that he's like, okay, now I got to change things up. And like this is because Billy originally wanted the 126. He'd been off from his first cancer treatment when the 126 had the big accident. So he's still probably bitter that Owen got the 126. So what better way to get back at Owen than to start dragging him into this and setting him up as the arsonist to get away with it. And but the only thing is, I'm like, what's Billy going to get out of it? Because Owen is never, or Billy, if he's got stage 3 cancer and now it's metastasized to somewhere else in his body, what's the chances of him actually going back to work? Slim. So it's like he's not even going to get the 126.
Yeah. I don't know if his motive is nowadays to get the 126 though, because like I don't know, like I feel like he's already not. I'm thinking this all through my head. Maybe he's instead of trying to physically get the 126, like be the captain, maybe he's just trying to rip everything away from the 126, like set all these fires to like in that way to kind of like hurt them that way. I guess.
Yeah, like ruin their reputation or something.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like I am missing motive here. Like everything else, but I'm missing motive. I feel like that might become more obvious in the next episode. But the only thing, not arguing against the storyline, but just the one thing I don't like about the storyline here, it's cliche.
Yeah, just a bit.
I don't like. I don't mind it sometimes, but I kind of don't like how cliche this would be. But at the same time, I'm not fully against it. It's just I'm a little disgruntled.
Yeah, and when we were talking, I was like, the other option, and I know Grace, you just mentioned it about the arson investigator, because he would have investigated the other fires that have been deemed an electrical fire. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, that's another cliche of, but we also know, okay, so I don't know how this all works, but just like in 911, Buck only took a desk job as a fire investigator because he was recovering from everything. So that's not always how somebody gets a fire investigation job. Like, they might not have ever been a firefighter because of a certain reason. Like, he could have had, you can't have, like, a steel plate in your back or things like that. That might disqualify him from being a firefighter, so you're forced to do a desk job for the rest of your life. So, like, it could be the arson. Like, the arson investigator could be, like, wrapped into this. Or it could be somebody completely different. Because we've seen, now there's been some pictures put out, promo photos. And there's a picture of Owen, Judd, Billy, and Tommy sitting around a table with Grace in the background. I think at Judd and Grace's, but it might be, because I'm not sure where it is, or it might be at Charles and Tommy's house. Either way, they're there. And then in the same outfit that Owen's wearing is when they're at TK and Carlos's place.
Yeah, I think it's more. Yeah, I think it's more likely going to be Grace and Judd's, just because I don't think Billy probably knows Tommy.
So, just was thinking through something. I know I suggested arson investigator, and I'm not saying it's not still possible, but another point in Billy's favor towards going in. Same height as Owen.
Mm-hmm.
Which was exactly what he was describing. The arson investigator is bulkier.
That is true.
Yeah, that's
so because we haven't just seen Owen's description, we've seen the guy.
Right.
So I don't know. Not saying it still can't be him.
Yeah.
But I think that's another point in like favor of arguing that it's Billy.
Yeah, and I remember, Katie, you had sent that picture of 4 people at TK and Carlos. So we could tell in the middle was TK and Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was definitely Owen, and I had to go onto my computer to actually look up close.
Yeah.
And it is Billy. And I'm like, and there's other pictures I've seen of Billy and Owen at the fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, TK and Carlos's place is on fire because of the arsonist. Why in the world would Billy, the arsonist, go there?
Okay, so there's, I don't know,
to throw off the scent, I guess.
Well, because
again, arsonists like seeing their work.
Yeah,
that's still a little weird.
Yeah, that, and also I think they're probably going to get the call that their place is on fire. Maybe while they're already at Grace and Judd's and stuff, and maybe Billy is already there, so he goes with him.
Mm-hmm.
Or Billy is still in the area, but he pretends to have just been in the area.
Yeah.
Helps Owen.
Yeah, exactly.
See, this is one of the things I think will actually help Owen, because I don't think it's gonna be believable that he'd endanger his own son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Because anyone can attest to how close they are.
Oh yeah, Owen would never do anything to hurt you.
Yeah, that's the fun. Yeah.
Well, I mean, not purposely.
Not something like that where he could have killed them. That's not gonna happen.
And he likes Carlos too, so it's
he's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's not
only one of his boyfriends he likes.
Oh my god, so true.
Yes.
Also, the reason why all these fires in this episode are very suspicious to me, and the only reason why, I don't know, it could be some random arsonist that just finds out a lot of information of the 126, but I also feel like that would kind of be a little too obvious to be somebody they wronged on a call.
Mm-hmm.
911 already did that. Let's not.
Yeah.
And also
they do that with the bomber guy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean. And Billy knows where the 126 is. He knows he could figure out where TK and Carlos's apartment is. He could find out. It's not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's public knowledge and stuff. And I don't know, I just feel like he could find out all these places. I did think though that I don't think they will bring up Mateo's house fire, just because
that feels way out there.
It feels way out there, and also they feels out there because we know how that fire happened. It was because he removed the gas. I think it was a cool thought in the moment, but then I just started, as we got talking more, I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't. But it would be interesting, but just way too weird.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Monday for sure.
Yeah, I've been excited for this episode for the past month.
Oh my god.
Because Ronan, god damn it, Ronan, you've been hyping this up for the past month, and I swear to god, this does not meet my expectations. I'm just kidding, it will.
Yeah.
It's gonna have Tarlos in it. It will meet some expectations.
Yes.
Tarlos is one of my favorite things about this episode, so.
Yeah. For me, episode 211 had good elements. I love the Tarlos. I love the bonding with the game night. There were things I could do without, just on a personal level, but it was an okay show. It was good writing. I will say that. John Allen did amazing. The directing was great. Rob's a great actor, so I loved that element of it. So
yeah, I agree with all of that. It was just amazing, and I'm so excited 4 to 12.
Yes, me too.
But thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and almost anywhere podcasts can be found. On iTunes, please rate us and leave us a review. It would mean a lot to us. You guys can follow the podcast on our socials at 91LS Roundup on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can follow me, Katie, at For the Love of Tarlos on Instagram. And at For Love of Tarlos on Twitter.
You can follow me, Grace, at RonanRafa911 on Instagram and at SheepGirl31 on Twitter.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram and Twitter.
Bye!
Bye.